So, you're the guy who fought that man in the shades.
The less said about that, the better. I'm still confused as to how he beat me.
Yeah. Still, that was a huge explosion.
That attack has a name, you know. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here.
Toucher told me that you're still too injured to be doing much, so an associate of the company I work for is coming to pick you up. He'll be here in a couple hours.
To what?
My Lucario.
Well, then.
So, just wait here for a bit. I gotta review this Manaphy movie. Lovely.
Manaphy movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that person isn't going to be here for a couple of hours, how about I review the film with you? You know, to kill time.
You want to sit through this crap fest? Fine by me. But I'll have Toucher and Greninja on standby in case you try something fishy.
You have a Greninja too?
Pokemon Ranger in the Temple of the Sea. Released a year after Lucario's film, this final installment of the Hoenn Tetralogy is a film that has an interesting place in my heart. For those who recall my top 15, I put this movie at number 2 on my list. When I rewatched it last year, I mentioned that I hated it. So now that I've seen it again, is my opinion similar to the one in that list? Or similar to the one from last year? Let's find out.
The film begins with the World of Pokemon recap, as usual. Since there's nothing interesting that happens in this recap, let's cut straight to the prologue, where we get introduced to our main villain of this picture, Captain Phantom.
So what does this captain want? Mysterious egg in the ocean. Why? Treasure reasons. Yes, it is that goddamn cliche.
But at least he has that hammy voice.
A shitty voice, but I digress. So he gets the egg and is about to grab it, but then, one of the pirates steals it, revealing himself to be Jack, a Pokemon Ranger.
So after a few comedic bits, Jack uses his capture styler, which basically allows Jack to utilize a Pokemon for a short period of time, on a Mantine to get away from the Phantom. Then we cut over to Ash's group traveling through a hot area with no water.
Yeah, so it's not like they have water types to use rain dance under a creative fountain to refill their thermos.
But David, there's a perfectly logical explanation as to why they don't just use their water types.
Oh, really? What is it?
Hey look! Balls of water!
Dick. Anyways, after that, we get introduced to Elizabeth and her family, who also perform a circus show with their water Pokemon. Oh, and Jack is there too. He's the clown. So after Ash and his group rehydrate themselves, we also see another Gen 4 Pokemon, Weasel, who then proceeds to go to the top of a bunk bed and activate a button on the canister, revealing the same egg as we saw in the prologue. But since we haven't gotten the montage intro yet, Elizabeth's father turns the canister off and treats our heroes to a free show. As for the music used in the intro, it's surprisingly not Battle Frontier's theme. Instead, it's tropical music. Really good tropical music, too.
I agree. This music is really well done and really fits this film well.
After the show, May notices Weasel leaving with the egg and walks over to his location while Team Rocket is on the rooftops before Jack takes the egg and gives it to Elizabeth. Oh, and the gang is given a free ride to the next town since the area is a mountain region. You know, why not just give them the egg while you're at it? Because holy crap, these guys are really generous to a bunch of people they just met.
After that, Team Rocket looks at a Team Rocket magazine. Wait, why is that a thing? And James locates the page with the egg on it. That's not the only thing on that page. Captain Phantom is also on that page. So Team Rocket decides to follow Ash's group so that they can get the egg for themselves. And then we cut to later that night.
So while everyone is asleep, Weasel decides to press the button on the container again, because that worked out so well last time, and bears witness to the egg once again. But this time, it's nighttime, so the moonlight comes through it and the egg begins to glow. One dream sequence with May swimming in there seeing Manaphy as well as this large temple later, we got to the next day. As everyone eats their breakfast, May tells the others about the dream she had, and Elizabeth/Minamo admit to having the same dream, explaining that it's related to a legend. But while that's going on, Team Rocket sneaks into the trailer and tries to take the egg, but the egg glows and then uses Heart Swap on them.
But despite that, Team Rocket attempts to make a run for it once they are spotted by our heroes, but they are stopped by Jack, who then pulls out his capture styler, uses it on a Fearow, and gets the egg back. But this doesn't last long as Phantom and his crew show up in helicopters.
So Ash's group decides to split up to prevent Phantom from getting the egg, and after a few comedic gags, we see the egg beginning to hatch, while it's in May's arms. So after everyone tries to get the egg from May, the egg completely hatches, revealing the Gen 4 legendary Pokemon, Manaphy. But this moment of surprise and awesomeness is quickly interrupted because, you know, we still have a bad guy to deal with. So Ash and the others make it back to the trailer and drive off. Some of Phantom's crew tries to stop the trailer using the tech on the helicopter, but they just move to the front of the vehicle and detach the back.
So we then cut over to some ruins, where Team Rocket ended up. They discuss what happened to them after the whole heart swap ordeal. However, this discussion doesn't last long, because once Ash's group pulls up to the ruins, they decide to try and work with the Phantom, so that they can steal the egg at a later point.
But speaking of the ruins, I should probably touch on why May could see Manaphy in her dreams, since it's relevant to what's coming up in this film. So, why can May see Manaphy in her dreams as well as the Sea Temple? She's a descendant of the people of the water, and so are Elizabeth's family. So, wait, wouldn't that also include Max, since May and him are siblings? That's one thing that bugs me about this concept. Max doesn't really do much in this film that's important. Most of the focus is on May and Manaphy, sort of. We'll get to that in a bit. But why not throw Max a bone too? Hell, you could maybe develop the sibling bond between May and Max, since there wasn't really much development with that in the series. Hell, I don't even like Max in these films, but is this really the better alternative? Not really giving much to do?
Well then. So Ash and the group head deeper into the ruins, with Phantom not too far behind, until they arrive at a mural, where Elizabeth's grandfather, Ship, exposits about the Ocean Temple, or Sea Temple, as my literate partner said earlier.
Dick.
The Ocean Temple was named Samaya, and this was where water Pokemon and the people of the water resided, as well as the King of the Sea. But eventually evil spirits invaded. The king used his powers to protect the temple, and it hasn't been seen since. However, once a Manaphy is born, the moon will glow red, and the temple will be visible for a short period of time. Oh, and Manaphy will also have a short time to return. Because sure, why not? So that he can become the Prince of the Sea. Ship states that his family and Jack will be the ones to return Manaphy to the Ocean Temple.
We then cut over to the port town, where Ship comes in and his family gets on board as well as Jack, and they leave with Manaphy, leaving Ash's group behind. But since this isn't the end of the movie, and the movie is entitled Manaphy and the Temple of the Old People, Manaphy uses Heart Swap on Ash and Jack, and Ash's group is eventually led on board.
So for the next little bit, we get subjected to what is essentially a montage of May and Manaphy bonding, or doing things together, while the other characters have fun and not add much to the plot.
And to be honest, this is really good. It doesn't overstay its welcome, I find. It creates the bond that it needs. It's pretty harmless in all honesty. Now sure, Jack isn't too happy about the bonding, because if Manaphy gets too close to May, he may go back to Samia, but that's not really a big issue in the grand scheme of things. Besides, he does scummier shit later.
Wait, are you starting to like this movie?
Do not misunderstand me. Just because I said one scene was good, doesn't mean this one was great to me. We got a ways to go.
Well, okay then. We also find out during this little montage/bonding session, Jack's reason for becoming a Pokemon Ranger. To sum it up, when he was about Ash's age, he got caught in a blizzard in his homeland, and while he was freezing in a cave, the Pokemon inside warmed him up. After that, he grew interested in Pokemon life, and wanted to defend them. In all honesty, I like this backstory. It gives us more to Jack's character than just him doing cool things. And it's nice just to see a backstory for these films, because we don't really see that for some of the protagonists.
I agree. It's something that the films don't really do for some of the protagonists, mainly the later films, and I applaud the writers for giving it to Jack in this film. It certainly makes him more interesting than most of the other characters in this shit. Too bad after this scene, though, he acts like a massive dick when he tells Ash that Manaphy being all cuddly with May isn't good, since he's supposed to be the prince and is supposed to act like a leader, even though he was literally born a few days ago. You moron. And as a result of this dickishness, May snapped at him for a bit before going off to cry. I would have slapped him for that, but to each their own.
Okay, hold on. He has a point. How is Manaphy going to act like a leader if he acts similar to how he acts when around May?
Based on this scene, pretty well. Plus, you know, he's still a kid. So yeah, Jack, you're a dick and you're proven wrong. So after that, we then cut over to Phantom, who has tracked down the location of Ship's boat. So what does he decide to do? Wait for Jackie and the others to reveal the location of the Ocean Temple. Speaking of, we finally find it after a pointless detour of Manaphy getting May's bandana back after the wind took it. But as they head inside, Phantom's group pursues them, and Jack notices this, diving into the water and capturing a Mantike to speed up the process of getting to the Sea Temple and stopping Phantom.
Back in the temple, however, the gang arrives at a dead end with a small obelisk nearby that has ancient text written into it, and they are pretty much stuck. So Phantom comes in, states that he can read it, and he does so, opening the gate, so everyone else follows Phantom for a bit until they arrive at what is assumed to be the throne room. and Phantom explains that he wants the crystals. So once Phantom takes one of the crystals, despite Manaphy's protests, the temple begins to fall apart as water fills the room, and the temple begins to destabilize. So because Phantom took one of the crystals, and because there's apparently no time, our heroes leave the room.
Yeah, we know that we came here to return Manaphy to his proper home, but screw that. That could take like 2 minutes to pin Phantom down and put the crystals back in. No, let's have Jack be the intelligent one to go stop Phantom. Admittedly badass, but still stupid on our hero's end. So Jack is able to put some of the crystals back in, but during the fight, one of the crystals falls into the water, and the two of them are sucked into different canals, but do manage to escape the temple, as well as Team Rocket.
Thankfully, though, Ash and May head back into the treasure room and are able to put all the crystals back in, except for one that's in the water. But by this point, it's too late. The water has reached the platform, and they have to leave.
But before they reach their means of escape,
and after Ash finds the last crystal, he decides to put May, Manaphy, and Pikachu into one of the escape pods and goes back to the throne room.
So, let me get this straight. Despite this movie being mostly focused on Manaphy, it's Ash who saves the day.
Yep. Oh my. I in particular like this scene because it's Ash being awesome, and there's still that tension of Ash potentially dying.
Potentially dying! The writers are too goddamn scared to kill this character off. They're also too goddamn scared, clearly, to have someone else save the day, because if that wasn't the case, then why not have May save the day? She did have a large focus in this film, so what the hell? Speaking of what the hell, after Jack makes it to the surface, he decides not to go back and save Ash and May, because there apparently isn't enough time to save them. Yeah, because leaving them to die is clearly a better alternative, you
Okay, that's it. I'm wrapping this up. Ash puts the final crystal into its original spot, the temple is saved, Phantom tries to capture Manaphy but is stopped by Ash, imbued with the power of the Ocean Temple, and then later, May and Manaphy say goodbye. The end. Roll credits. You cool now?
Yeah, seriously, screw that last act. Anyways, as a story, it's incredibly meh, in my opinion. I already bitched about the whole people of the sea bit earlier, so I won't repeat it, but there's not really many twists and turns in the story that makes the story interesting. It's literally just going from point A to point B with the villain fight at the end. There's not much character development in this film either, with the exception of Jack's backstory and the bonding with May and Manaphy.
I disagree. I think the story is pretty good. The writers did a good job making the viewer feel for May and Manaphy's relationship. The ending brought a tear to my eye because of how emotional it was, and it had heart to it. Heck, this film made me like Ash, who I usually never like. That must be good for something.
Another problem I have with this film is the villain, Captain Phantom. Oh my god, is this guy so cliche and bland. His literal goal is to get treasure. That's it. Why? Because he just wants money. No other reason. Just money. That is so goddamn cliche, even for a kid's film. Not really much to this character that I like and or find interesting and or unique. Not even his voice or personality, which I find incredibly annoying. Hell, the pirate aspect was already done before back in the Orange Islands, so he's not even unique in the concept department. Oh, and recall what I said back in the Heroes review about the next villain being a pirate? I was freaking kidding when I said that. Jesus Christ.
Once again, I disagree. I think Phantom, despite being absolutely ridiculous, really meshes well with the film's tropical and water themes. Plus, name one other pirate that's also similar to a cyborg. Ew. Well, can we at least agree that Jack and the whole Pokemon Ranger concept was cool?
Ranger concept? Yes. Jack? Not really. While I do like his backstory and actions in the first half of the film, his actions in the second half are where my positives towards this character go down the toilet. Dude's a complete dick towards our heroes, and I still can't get over the whole not going to save Ash and May bit. So no, I don't think Jack is great. He's not horrible, but I wouldn't call him great. As for the other characters, they're meh. Ash and May are okay, despite my rage earlier. Manaphy is decent, and I do admit that the bond between him and May was fine. I'm really glad Team Rocket actually got to do something in this film, and they were pretty funny. And the other characters were either bland, uninteresting, or hardly did anything. As for the animation, oh my god. I'm sorry, but I do not like the animation for most of this film. Sure, the coloring is fine at points, like the sunset and ocean scenes, but that's about it. Other times, it's pretty bland to look at, and it's not that appealing to the eye. But even though the coloring is fine, I can't say the same for the CGI. Remember how I said in my last review that I found the CGI quality in that film to be on par with the first Shrek? Well, this film's CGI at points looks on par with the original Final Fantasy VII from 1997. Even the CGI water looks bad. It looks more like goddamn plastic than actual water at points. Yes, I know that these films are released yearly, but they've been using CGI for years now. There is no excuse for this shit. Especially when they've shown they can do a good job with CGI.
Well then, can we at least agree that the music is good?
Yes, the film's soundtrack is great. It fits the tropical and/or ocean theme of the film very well, and has a nice variety of instruments and tones. It's very fitting for the scenes it's used in.
And it's the same soundtrack as the Japanese version, except for the opening and ending. Huh?
You're not supposed to be comparing the two versions.
Am I on medication or something? 'Cause I just heard you talk.
No, you're not seeing things.
Well then, and I assume the Greninja can talk too.
You act surprised.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. But I think we should wrap this up.
Indeed. Overall, I think this movie is fantastic. It's a great send-off to the Hoenn movies. It's very emotional, the soundtrack is great, and the characters are fantastic. Give this film a shot if you haven't already. Especially if you want to see a Bond as great as May and Manaphy.
I disagree with that opinion. While I do agree that the music is great and the Bond is also great at points, I find this film bogged down with a mediocre story, a terrible villain, terrible animation at multiple points in this film. It's just mediocre to me. Maybe I expect a little too much from the creators after seeing the Lucario film, but I didn't think this movie was that great. Not terrible, but not great. So if I were to rank the Hoenn tetralogy, it would go like this. Number 4, Destiny Deoxys. Number 3, Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea. Number 2, Jirachi Wishmaker. And number 1, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. So that concludes this review. Thank you all for watching, and next time we meet, I'll be entering the Sinnoh tetralogy with my review of The Rise of Darkrai. See you then.
Well, that was something.
Yep. Anyways, the car was likely outside by now, so you better get going.
Yeah, okay. Still surprised you didn't like the movie, though.
Well, it's not the worst thing I saw, just mediocre, frankly.
Fair enough. So I guess I'll see you guys around then.
Yep, take care, Andrew. By the way, there's a present on the table for you.
Sweet, thanks.
No problem.
Meanwhile.
Well, that was nice of him to do that. I wonder what's in the box.